So let's talk about 72 Seasons by Metallica. I've already listened to it a few times. I'm not going to talk about the singles in this video unless it's in the context of the full album. I will be concentrating on the other album cuts, which will be 8 songs, and I'll also be talking about the album as a whole, what I liked and what I disliked. I'll give it a final score at the end, and at the end I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I think will be the future of Metallica, so please stick around for that. So the one thing I liked about this album is that it sounds a lot better listening to it from front to back. It has a really nice flow. It's the type of album that's better listening to as a whole. I know some people were kind of critical because of some of the singles, but I feel if you listen to the album front to back, the singles are a little more enjoyable. I think they did a really good job of putting the songs in order. They feel very natural when they go from one to the other. The second thing I liked about the album is that the production is very good. Everyone sounds really good. The bass guitar is really clear. It doesn't have like a raw sound or an overproduced sound. It doesn't sound like a pop album. It sounds like a metal album. This is a Metallica album, start to finish. There's very little experimentation, and it's just an enjoyable album as a whole. The other thing I like about the album is the lyrics. They're very personal. Might be some of the best lyrics the band has ever written. They all discuss the idea of 72 seasons, how it's the first 18 years of life, and I know a lot of them are personal stories about growing up. What I dislike about the album is that they played it very safe. A lot of the guitar riffs sound very familiar. A lot of songs are reminiscent of other songs, mostly from the Black Album to the Hardwired period. I wouldn't call it a thrash metal album. If you're looking for thrash metal, you're better off listening to the new Overkill album, which came out today, which was very good, and I will review it later, but it's not a thrash album. I also think some of the guitar solos were uninspired. That's just my main criticism. They're not too bad. I think they're just playing it safe. Like I said before, it's a very safe album. It's not a bad album. It's enjoyable. But they don't take a lot of chances, with the exception of the last track, Inamorata, which I will be talking about in more detail later on. Another thing I disliked with the album is that I think it could have been trimmed a little bit. I listened to it 3 times today. It didn't feel as long as it actually is. But like most of Metallica albums recently, they could have done like a little bit of editing, and that would have just like pushed the album up like a few more points. So let's talk about the tracks. Shadows Follow. It's an enjoyable track. It has some dark lyrics. Reminds me of something from the Black Album. It has that particular sound. There might be some elements of like Death Magnetic in there as well. A good song. It's enjoyable. The guitars sound good. James sounds good. I enjoyed the breakdown in this as well. I think it would be a good song played live. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. It doesn't stand out, but it's a typical Metallica song and enjoyable. Sleepwalk My Life Away is a good one. When you listen to it, the first thing you hear is that bass guitar. You know, you think of the days of Injustice for All when, you know, they didn't have any bass in their songs, but, you know, Robert sounds really good on this song. You also hear like a nod to Van Halen. There's one part where they do this like part where they scratch the strings. I don't know if anyone else picked that up, but it's one of those groovy songs. It's a mixture of like Black Album and Load, like many other songs in the album. The lyrics are very good, talking about going day to day, not feeling any inspiration, just following the same routine, and it's something very relatable. The song's a nice groove, and I think it's another decent track. Must Burn is very good. It's enjoyable. I heard many people say in the comments that it's like Sad But True Part 2. It's very similar to that. It has that slow chugging sound. One of the slower tracks in the album. One thing I noticed about this album is that they do have a few slower tracks, but then again, this band has pretty much slowed down since the Black Album. There are also, or it's one of the songs where it did feel a little long for the type of song it is. One of the slower songs, like I said, but the thing about this is that there's a part near the 4-minute mark where they play these dark guitar riffs, and that reminded me of like classic Black Sabbath. So I thought that was cool coming from Metallica. Crown of Barbed Wire is very good. First couple of seconds reminds me of like Dream No More from Hardwired, but then it kind of gets a little faster, get a little more energetic. The opening guitar riff seems simple, but it's effective for the song. I've read a few comments comparing this song to King Nothing from Load. I hear it a little bit, but I think I like the chorus when James sings like the word like wire, like he kind of like twists his voice a little bit. I like that, and I like the chord progression. It sounds good. The lyrics are well written. It's about like a power-hungry leader causing like the downfall of society. It's slow to mid-pace, but very heavy. I think Chasing Light is one of the hidden gems on this album. I really like it a lot. I like the guitar tone. I like how they play those thick and heavy guitar riffs they're known for. Another song is not very fast paced, it's just very well made. I like the second guitar riff. It's one of their thrashier guitar riffs on this album. I also like the way James sings the chorus. He's bringing back some of that vocal tone he used like back when he was younger, more from like the first album, more like Kill 'Em All. But I thought that was pretty cool. Too Far Gone is a really good song. Another one very reminiscent of Black Album era. The main guitar riff has a really nice groove. James's vocals sound very good. He has some pretty cool screams in the verse section. There's also one of the songs with the catchiest chorus. I think it's accessible. The verse has that cool gallop. I think it would satisfy fans of classic Metallica. The first guitar solo is short, but the second one was a little better. I think Room of Mirrors is another one of the hidden gems on the album. I like this one a lot out of all the non-singles. It might be one of my favorites. I think it's one of like the heavier songs, maybe after the title track. It's really cool. The lyrics are very relatable. They're well written. Another thing they do on this album a lot is they mention some older songs and some of the lyrics. So, and this song they mention like Broken, Beaten, and Scarred. So that's one thing that you can kind of like pick out, these like little hidden things. Finally is Inamorata, a song people would either love it or hate it. For me, I really like it a lot. I think out of all the songs, this is the one where they experimented the most with the sound. The guitar sound in the intro sounds unlike any other Metallica song we've heard before. I've heard people criticize it, say it sounds like something from Load. It's too slow, too boring, too long, but I think it works as an 11+ minute song. This is Metallica at their most progressive, or at least in my opinion they are. Now, even though I think they are being original, they do have that chorus, which is almost the same as My Friend of Misery from the Black Album, but it works in the context of the song because they're doing something different, but at the same time giving you something that's a little familiar. I like the breakdown about halfway through the song. It has that isolated bass, those drums, and the cleaner guitar tones. I think that was something that was lacking on this album in general. It's good to hear it on the song. I also like the twin guitar melodies towards the second half of the song, and that brought back that melodic sound from the kind of like the Injustice for All days, I guess. In conclusion, it's a type of album, it's enjoyable, as I was saying before. It's an album that you put on from start to finish. I think I didn't like a lot of the singles when it came out, but I think I started to enjoy them more. Just listening to them like within the context of the album. I think listening to them with the other songs in front and behind them made me appreciate them a little more, if that makes any sense. As for originality, there's not much originality going on. A lot of recycled guitar riffs and sounds and lyrics, but they're doing what they're doing. Metallica, like I said, they're not thrash. They're a metal band. They have their own genre. It's what they are. It's their own thing, and that's cool if that's what they want to do and they're popular doing it. Let them do it. So I respect that. My score 8 out of 10. It might go up, might go down, but it's definitely a solid album. Before I go, let me say a few words on what I think is the future of this band. I don't think this will be their last album. I think they might have 1 or 2 left, and we might get another album, hopefully in less than 7 years, maybe 4 or 5. I think they're going to tour a lot, and this might be a long shot, but I think this might be one of the most successful albums. I think with their acceptance of like the Stranger Things episode, and this might be a long shot, but I think they might play the Super Bowl next January or February. I don't know, I know there's going to be people saying that, it's not going to happen, but I think they might have a chance, and if they did have a chance, it's like either now or it will never happen. So that's all. I'm going to do a new ranking where I include this album at some point, maybe next week. And I'll do probably more videos that were more like in-depth analysis of different stuff. But if you want, check out this video where I rank the singles, because I didn't really talk about the singles much in this video, just for time restraints. So look at that right now if you want. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.